webinar today on our LLM General and LLM in International and Comparative Business Law. And today I am joined by my colleagues, Mr. Larry Donnelly, who is the Programme Director of the LLM General and who is a native of Boston and has substantial experience working as an attorney. And I'm also joined by Dr. Peter O'Loughlin, who is the Programme Director of our LLM in International and Comparative Business Law. And Peter's research interests include law and economics and company law. And I'm also delighted to be joined by a current student of ours, Beth, who is currently studying the LLM General. And I'm also joined by Malhar, who is a graduate of our LLM in International and Comparative Business Law. So the format of this webinar is a short presentation, and then afterwards, Beth and Malhar will tell you a little bit about their student experience, and then we will answer any questions that you may have. I will begin now by telling you a little bit about our School of Law. Our School of Law delivers innovative legal education in a dynamic school dedicated to impactful high-quality legal research. And it's made up of 3 world-renowned research centres, including the Irish Centre for Human Rights, the Centre for Housing Law, Rights and Policy, and the Centre for Disability Law and Policy. And if you decide to study the LLM, you'll have the opportunity to study from a wide range of modules offered by our Irish Centre for Human Rights and our Centre for Disability Law and Policy. Our School of Law is ranked in the top 150 law schools according to the QS World University Rankings. And we have a very diverse student body. We currently have students from 28 countries studying our LLM courses. And overall, the university has students from 110 different countries. Some of the countries that, some of the students some of the countries that our students are from include Canada, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, the US, and so on. And many of our students say that their learning experience is greatly enhanced by the diverse student body. Many students say that they learn just as much from the students in the class as they do from the experts that are teaching the modules. I would now like to hand you over to Dr. Peter O'Loughlin, who will tell you a little bit about our LLM International and Comparative Business Law.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Hi, everybody. I'm Peter. As Lisa has explained, I'm the Programme Director for the International and Comparative Business Law, LLM. Just some overview points of the course initially, worth bearing in mind. It is available as a 1-year full-time course, or indeed 2 years part-time. There is a heavy and fairly systematic emphasis on the degree on more practical skills like critical thinking and drafting legal submissions, and I'll speak to a couple of the modules that implicate these skills more substantively in a moment. We have been the recipients of a postgraduate course of the Year in Law award. And then finally, a note on the mode of assessment. The primary mode of assessment is through essays, usually 5,000 words within each module, with a view in particular to asking you to rise to the challenge of writing about a particular area or sub-area of law from a critical perspective, but in a sustained way. So usually these essays are 5,000 words. Some of the course highlights include international field trips. I'll speak about that in a moment as it pertains to the Vismoot. But I think one highlight worth mentioning is the opportunity to undertake placements with law firms. So this is usually undertaken in the summer months, and students who are successful in obtaining one of these placements will do this placement in lieu of the LLM minor thesis. We have also had participants or candidates in the past who have successfully obtained these placements and who have gone on to obtain permanent positions with their respective organizations. I said there was a heavy emphasis, or a fairly systematic emphasis, on practical skills. I think this is perhaps brought to the fore, in particular, by the Vismoot. So this emphasizes substantive arbitration law material, but more practically, you'll gain knowledge and skills in drafting court submissions and appeal pleas. So this is a photo here of our Galway Vismoot team. So participants in this module will have the opportunity to participate in the Willem C. Vis International Arbitration Moot competition. I read just recently that it has become the largest arbitration moot in the world and the second largest moot generally in the world. So students who participate in this module will have the opportunity to travel to Vienna and hopefully participate in this international arbitration moot. Just a word about, I think, a couple of the modules worth emphasizing. I think in particular, one that stands out right at the moment is EU competition law. So this has become not just a priority for regulators across the world, but also has become, if anything, a mainstream topic, in particular in the wake of the digital platform industry. So regulators in Australia, France, US, Europe, they're all prioritizing digital platform markets in this field. It's an area of law that regulates what we call market power, so power over price. Are companies too big? Do they wield too much power over particular industries? And how can we frame legal rules in a way that balances the competing goals of competition law, of incentivizing entrepreneurship on the one hand, whilst also maintaining competitive marketplaces and making sure that no single firm has too much power on the other hand. So that's a module that has become very topical. It's extremely global and incredibly diverse, in the sense that you will study industries, perhaps one might say a different industry from case to case. In this module, I worked on a case once upon a time ago in the market for model agencies, but the next day I was working on a case in the market for energy, and then I had peers working in markets for construction. So it is a very diverse module in that respect. There is also a new module being launched this coming academic year, which is called Law and Economics of Corporate Transactions. This represents, in many ways, the cutting edge business law education and thinking at the moment. This looks at questions like, how can we structure mergers or acquisitions through the lenses of, for example, property or contract law, in a way that actually maximizes transactional value for the parties to a particular transaction. You'll look at all of the seminal economic problems, like adverse selection problems or agency problems that pervade business transactions, and you'll grapple each week with practical real-world scenarios about how you would go about structuring the transaction in order to actually overcome those particular problems that pervade real-world corporate transactions. So that's a new module that's being launched this year. European consumer law and policy, another module that implicates, on one level, more interdisciplinary perspectives. So you'll examine things like unfair commercial practices or unfair contract terms, which really boils down to the question of, are consumers being manipulated? And if so, to what extent should consumer law and policy tackle or address that manipulation? The interdisciplinary perspectives have become much more topical in recent years, in particular behavioral economics, which is the application of psychology to economics, and has begun to penetrate already EU consumer law doctrine. So you'll look at ways in which businesses or sellers can frame transactions or structure transactions in a way that would take advantage of these psychological shortcomings of consumers in their decision making, and examine the extent to which laws and policies in EU consumer law actually address these kinds of problems. So we've spoken about law and economics of corporate transactions. So this is a module that that will be launched in the forthcoming academic year. And then finally, just a word about the careers. We do have graduates who do go into legal practice, but they also go into other careers like academia or alternative careers, like working, for example, within public regulators. So thanks so much. That's my part of the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end if there indeed are any. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Peter. And I'll now pass you over to Mr. Larry Donnelly, who will talk about the LLM General.
Okay, thanks very much, Lisa and Peter, and thanks in particular to everyone who's here. We appreciate your interest in our programs, and I'm going to take you through very briefly, a run through of the LLM General program. I'll start with some basics about the program. First is that, like the International and Comparative Business Law LLM, it can be completed 1 year full-time or 2 year part-time basis. And I really think one of the big points about the LLM General is it's designed to create maximum flexibility. That is, you can very much tailor the degree you want to take in keeping with your areas of interest and or your background or career objectives. So it allows for maximum flexibility. In the same vein, if you look at the career options and the careers that our graduates of the program have pursued, they are diverse. They are wide-ranging, whether in law, policy, all sorts of different areas. And indeed, many of the times that flows from the program of study that students have carved out for themselves, which again correlates with their areas of interest and their career objectives. To look at some of the highlights, I suppose, of the course, there are, typically international field trips. They're outside the fee remit, but these can offer some really valuable opportunities to supplement what you learn in the seminar rooms with, I suppose, seeing how it works in practice. And in that vein, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, one of the things, and I think graduates would point to this, is the focus on skill development, in particular, the development of advanced research, writing, and analytical techniques, things that are really, really important to working in law and or related fields, or indeed, if graduates of the LLM decide to go on to pursue a PhD in law, things that will stand to you. We like to think that, across the LLM programs, and I'll talk again more about this in a second, there's a wide range of expertise. The people who will be teaching you on the LLM modules are not just national or regional leaders in their respective fields, they're internationally sought after experts. So you have really strong cadre of people who will be teaching and examining you. To that, one of the things that I know across the LLM degree we do is we have a lot of guest speakers. We bring in people from all sorts of different worlds, whether in academia or practice or business and industry or the human rights sector and national non-governmental organizations. Again, the idea being that the theory and the reading that you do is supplemented with perspectives of people who are working out in the trenches, so to speak, on various issues. And indeed, again, in keeping with the theme of this general LLM, really, allowing for maximum flexibility and for you to tailor your studies. There's no better, I suppose, example of that than with the minor thesis that you'll be writing at the close of the degree of the coursework. And really, that offers an opportunity for you to pursue advanced research in writing and to develop a real expertise on a particular area of law that interests you. And indeed, this has often been the springboard for people's career trajectory, that is completing a thesis on a relevant area of law and then finding themselves working in that area of law as a result. So again, this theme of the general, opening doors and giving you the maximum range of possibilities and allowing you individually to tailor the law degree that you want. And I think if you look at the course outline and some of the available modules, you can see that there's one module that you have to take. For good or for ill, that's with me. So you'll be seeing me one way or the other if you take the LLM General course. And I'll talk more about that module in a minute. But you can see just from looking at that extensive list that you are free to take modules from a range of different streams. Obviously, Peter has highlighted the International and Comparative Business Law degree, but also 3 other areas where the law school has significant globally recognized expertise, whether in criminal law, in disability law, or in human rights law. So there's a whole range of different things that you can pursue, and you can see the list of those modules that are available as options for you. And again, I would suggest to you that they are, without exception, taught by leading experts in these fields. So you get to expose yourself to a whole range of different things. You can take a varied course load, or you can really focus in on one specific area. It's down to you. And I think that's one of the benefits of the LLM General. Now, just lastly, to talk about the one mandatory module, the Advanced Legal Methods and Research module. This really is designed to build on and to enhance pre-existing critical thinking, research, and writing skills. And it does so through extensive training on in the use of legal research databases, as well as advanced legal writing techniques and advanced critical analysis training. So it really is very much a nuts and bolts module. And what I say to students is 2 things about this module. Number one, the idea is that it is inextricably intertwined with the rest of the LLM course. That is, the skills that we've emphasized in advanced legal methods and research, they are the skills that you are going to need to successfully complete the range of assessments, essays, and ultimately the minor thesis. But more to the point, these are the very skills that employers ultimately are going to be looking for, that they value most in people working in the law, and indeed things that will be an absolute necessity in the event that you were to pursue a PhD degree at the close. You'll see that it is 100% continuous assessment. It's progressively more involved assignments that cover the areas of research, writing, and analysis. So again, it's a mandatory module, but one that I think is very useful, not just for the degree itself, but for the future. I'm going to hand back now to Lisa to talk about entry requirements and other details. But what I would say is thank you again for attending. And indeed, I'm happy to take follow. I've looked forward to questions at the end of this. But if anyone wants to get in contact by writing, my contact details are on the law school website, and I'd welcome any further inquiries that you want to make in writing. So thanks again.
Great. Thank you Larry, and I'll end the presentation by telling you a little bit about our entry requirements and how to make an application. So the entry requirements for our LLM General and our LLM International Comparative Business Law is a second-class honours degree, grade 2-1, in law or an interdisciplinary degree in which law was a major component. Applicants awarded a graduate diploma in law may be considered, but will only be admitted where they demonstrate strong academic performance in both their undergrad degree and diploma. And then in exceptional circumstances, if you hold a degree in another discipline, for example, not law, a degree that does not relate to law, or if you have a degree with a grade that's less than a 2-1, you may still be eligible to study our LLM programs if you have relevant professional law experience. So we do consider a wide range of applicants. I suppose depending on what country you're from, the 2-1 grade requirement will be different. You can look at the entry requirements on our international website, and if you're unsure of what grade you require for the country that you're from, you can simply email us after this webinar and we will tell you the grade requirement. If you would like to make an application, our applications are now open, so you can start the course in September 2024. And if you're thinking about next year, applications will open in October 2024 for September 2025 entry. The closing date for applications, there is no closing date. Offers are issued on a continuous basis. So as soon as you apply, you normally find out within a few working days if you've been offered a place on the programme. And the closing date will simply be when the places on our programmes are full. So therefore, we encourage candidates to apply as early as possible. The EU fees for our LLM programmes are €8,390 and the non-EU fees are €19,140. You can apply online by going to universityofgalway.ie/apply, and the documents that you need to apply are a personal statement, approximately 600 words explaining why you wish to undertake the programme. You will also need proof of identity, either passport or birth certificate. You will need one written reference, and if English is not your first language, you will need to submit an English language test. And if you're interested in learning more about postgraduate scholarships, you can do so by visiting our website. If you wish to contact us after this webinar, you can reach out to us at lawpostgrad@universityofgalway.ie, or if you want to get in touch with the programme directors directly, you can find their details on our website. And you can keep up to date with what's happening in the School of Law on our social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. So if you have any questions, now would be a good time to pop them into the chat function. But in the meantime, before we address your questions, I would now like to introduce you to a current student of ours, Beth, who is from Ethiopia and is studying our LLM General. So hi, Beth, thanks so much for joining us today. If you could maybe begin by telling us a little bit about your background and your legal experience prior to completing the LLM General.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you all for joining the chat. So my name is Bethlehem. I'm currently doing my LLM in general law, and I'm from Ethiopia. So the reason I chose particularly LLM at the University of Galway is primarily because I have a background in basically both the corporate side and as well as the human rights side. I'm sorry, can you all hear me or?
Yes, I can hear you, Beth, thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, because I had that background of both being around the human rights side and as well as the corporate side, LLM General suited me best so to figure out in which area I want to push further. And so because it's composed of both the human rights courses from the Human Rights Center and as well courses outside the Human Rights Center, it was very interesting for me to pick out that choice in particular.
Great, thanks, Beth. So I suppose I'm guessing that you probably picked a mix of modules. Did you lean more so towards the human rights modules or business law modules?
I would say I took half and half exactly, but through time, what I found more interesting was that because the Human Rights Center is a bit also known at the University of Galway compared to any other universities around the world. So it just turns out that more courses aligned to the Human Rights Center, but I basically took half and half from both sides.
Great, thank you. And I know you are a member of our Vismut team this year. Could you tell us a little bit about the module and your experience traveling to Vienna with the team?
Oh, Vismut. It's very challenging. Like, I have no words for that. Very challenging. First we draft and then there's the oral. But I would say it was interesting for me personally to find myself in a situation where I needed to work more. I needed to put more effort. So it was very interesting. In the end, we made it to Vienna, and it was a very interesting journey. But I would say it's challenging for anyone who wants to challenge themselves. Doing LLM General, particularly Vismut, is advisable.
Great, thanks, Beth. And I suppose if you could maybe tell us about your career plans for the future after this LLM.
Okay. So currently I'm doing both the corporate side and the human rights side. But since I found myself being more interested in the human rights side, thanks to the LLM General, I plan on pursuing towards migration law or refugee law, towards that line.
Great, thanks, Beth. And finally, maybe for those who've never been to Galway, can you tell us about what it's like to move to Galway City?
Oh, I love Galway. I have no words for it. I love Galway, even compared to other citizen towns in Ireland. I just love Galway. Beside its wetness, I feel like Galway is more vibrant. The people are more friendly, like way much more friendly. And it's just like my little Ethiopian community. Galway itself, with everyone around, it feels so safe, and it's really friendly. It's very a vibrant city. I would advise everyone to move into Galway.
Great, thank you, Beth. And I'm also joined by a graduate of ours, Malhar. Malhar is from India and graduated from our LLM in International and Comparative Business Law. I suppose, Malhar, if you could maybe tell us a bit about why you decided to study your LLM at University of Galway.
Hi, everyone. I think I was looking across many programs and just taking points from the presentations before and also Beth. I think it all made sense. The program is fantastic. Like there's the option to have placements with firms. There's lots of support available, and of course, like Ireland in general and Galway, it's just the best city in the world, I think, now, in my opinion. So when I was looking through the programs, and I was also speaking to other graduates, like I think a lot of people would be doing that, and everybody told me very good things about the program, the director, Professor Connie, and it was in the end, it was just like very easy decision, and because I was more inclined on doing the placements and giving a go at it. So particularly that was the main reason why I chose the program.
Great, thank you. And could you tell us maybe about what was your favorite part of studying the LLM?
I would say the favorite part was just the incredible support that was available from all the lecturers, and because before I joined the program, I wasn't really sure about which career path to take, and the only career path I knew was the solicitor path. But then once I joined the program, and there was so many workshops and guest lecturers who came in, and they just opened my mind to different options available in terms of just corporate jobs and banks and many multinational companies. So I think that was a very good experience for me, just to know that there's many more options available in whichever area you're interested in. And
Yeah, and you've done your work placement as part of the LLM program with RDJ. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, it was only 2 weeks before COVID struck in, so unfortunately I couldn't complete it. But in the 2 weeks when I was there, it was just it was very, very nice. It was merely introduction in the beginning, so I didn't really get to deep dive, but it was very professional, and that people are very supportive, and they also helped me in further career options enough to get my current job as well. So it was fantastic. Yeah.
That's great. And I suppose finally, if you could maybe tell us about your current job role and how you secured that job.
Of course. So currently I'm working as a senior policy analyst in Glasgow. The company is based in Limerick, but I'm still living in Galway. It's more about corporate governance. I'm working in corporate governance at the moment. And again, this career path and everything was possible because I attended a guest lecture, which was Professor Dennis Driscoll. Yeah. And he was there at the time, and he was speaking about how this area of law is very niche, and there's just a lot of opportunities are available. ESG and corporate governance is only blooming now. Now pretty much everybody knows about it, but back I think 5 years ago it wasn't as popular. So it just caught my eye, and I stayed in touch with him. I also eventually I did my thesis with him. He was visiting professor, I think, at that time. And he guided me, and we did a thesis together. And I just, based on my thesis, I applied to a few firms in Ireland who were in corporate governance, and that's how I secured my. Initially, I secured an internship with the firm, and then after the internship, they kept me on, and I've been there for now 3 years. So yeah,
that's great. Thanks, Malhar. So